Hello and welcome to Movies with My Dad, the podcast where I, film critic Tina Kakadelis, take my dad Stratus to the movies. This week we saw Bad Boys Ride or Die, directed by Adil and Bilal, starring Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. Join us on the spoiler-filled car ride home.
Is that a statement about what we thought about this movie?
I was confused by this movie, but...
What'd we watch? Let's give some background.
What's it called? Bad Boys Ride or Die for Life?
Ride or Die for Life.
Well, I don't think it's that long. It should have been the number 4, because this is Bad Boys number 4.
So...
For life.
So the problem with this, for both of us, is we're coming into a well-established movie.
Watch that car.
I see it.
No, you didn't.
I saw it just fine. I thought I was going to beat him. Ride or Die, baby.
Oh, my.
A well-established movie franchise that's literally 30 years old.
What's the problem with that?
Well, we don't really know what it's about.
Okay, well, I'm just going to pause real quick because I took you to see Scream last year. You, on the car ride over, said you didn't want to know anything about the previous 5 Screams that you knew nothing about.
You shouldn't need to know about that to watch a movie.
That is crazy.
You should be able to walk in, and they should give you enough exposition.
They gave you enough in this.
They did. It was fine. But we definitely didn't know who all those other people were.
I didn't know Vanessa Hudgens would show up.
Has she been in all of them?
I think she's been...
Probably not, because she would have been 10...
She would have been a child.
2 years old, right? Yeah. The first one.
Yeah. No, she definitely wasn't in the first one, because I watched the first one for the first time this year.
Oh, you've watched? I
have seen a singular...
Did some work on this.
Bad Boy. Just one.
Just one.
Well, I guess now 2, technically. So what's the plot?
So who... Okay. The plot was... What did I get out of this? They're police officers in Miami.
Strong start.
They had a chief who was murdered, I guess, in the last installment.
Not in the first, I can tell you that.
Okay, so probably in the third. Murdered by Will Smith's son.
Yes.
Who was a cocaine or just a drug dealer.
Slash pilot slash...
He could have been a Marine Corps veteran the way he was handling all the equipment.
Yeah.
But anyways, so the story is bad politician's inside job. His kid didn't actually, I guess he did kill the captain, but it was under orders of crooked politicians and a rogue military guy.
For sure.
Who had his fingernails pulled out by the Colombian drug lords.
What did you think about the fingernails?
It was okay, but I don't believe that's enough to change his entire life to a life of crime. Did you?
I was just thinking about this movie that I saw called Fingernails, where it's like if you're in a relationship, like there's a scientific test that can be done with each person in the relationship. They pull their fingernails out.
What?
And they put it in the little machine, and then you see what percentage or like what match you are. If the love is coming from one side, both sides, or no sides.
You need to stop watching movies.
Made by a Greek person, so a good Greek boy.
So, are we to learn when you get your fingernails pulled out, they never grow back? I didn't know that.
I don't know, because in Fingernails, my only other source of fingernail knowledge, they just walk around with little gauze things on their fingers. Because there are some people who've ripped out a bunch.
All
Actually,
right, back to this movie.
I think they do grow back. Okay.
So, who was the director?
I don't know.
Bruckheimer?
No. Bay did the first. Michael Bay did the first.
And he had a cameo in this one.
I
think this was a Jerry Bruckheimer, or at least his name was up there.
He produced it. And he
produced it. Okay, so we don't know who the director was.
It's 2 guys whose name I don't know. They did the one before this one as well.
So I'm assuming the first one that you watched, whenever it was,
Michael's,
was stylistically sort of Miami Vice-like.
It was Michael Bay.
Right. So Miami Vice-like.
Ish, yeah.
Ish. This one, I feel like knowing nothing. Right? I feel like
you haven't even seen the first one?
I haven't seen, not that I remember, but that's 30 years ago. I feel like this one wanted to be John Wick. There were some sequences that felt Wickian.
Oh, God.
Who knew that was a word?
It's not.
But not done very well. Well, no, done well, executed well, but didn't have the same effect or impact that the John Wick movies have. And then there was that whole sequence that was straight out of a video game first-person shooter sequence.
So
somebody was having fun with that.
Part of me appreciated this movie simply for Martin Lawrence's character.
You know what?
Because
I had the exact same feeling.
We're gonna have different reasons why.
Okay.
Him guns blazing into these fights where he's like, I can never die because of his little near-death experience. But that's just how I play first-person shooters. Just guns blazing, I can't possibly die, and that's it. And I was like,
that's how everyone plays video games.
Not my sister. She actually takes her time. She crouches around, she rolls. I get a sawed-off shotgun, and I just
go blazing into the
go
room.
to town.
So in that, I actually thought he was the only character and actor I enjoyed watching in this entire film.
They were all in different movies, though.
They were all in different. That's a very good observation. I like that.
Thank you.
But
so
don't
much.
you? Did you like him in the movie?
Yeah, I thought he was he was in a very campy, kind of fun movie. Little drugs on the periphery, you know, but kind of just a spiritual enlightenment journey gone weird. And I was like, this is kind of fun. But then Will Smith is like having panic attacks, but everyone's also bullying him about having panic attacks.
That was so weird, and he never really addresses them.
No.
Does he ever get over it? Were we supposed to feel that at the end when who told him it was okay?
He sees the dead captain.
He sees the dead captain.
Yeah, and I was sitting there thinking, like, man, if only we had spent any time having him grow as a character and change and learn about his panic attacks.
Bad Boys 5
Ever.
Beyond My Panic Attack?
No, that's terrible.
It's a terrible title.
Michael Bay would never approve that. Yeah, so Will Smith was in like a serious cop movie, and then every once in a while got to crack a joke. And then his wife was American and then British. That baffled me.
I don't remember her being American at the beginning, but I don't
remember her being British in the beginning.
Yes, but the only other character I thought they used very well was Martin Lawrence's son-in-law.
Yeah.
Was that the character?
Yeah.
A Marine vet, I guess active duty Marine.
Active duty Marine.
And was sitting around the house just playing video games, and then he goes into action and kills 13 people in the house. 15?
Yeah. I thought
he did it really well. I enjoyed watching him.
Yeah, he had some good little comedic chops. I also really liked Will Smith's son. Like, I thought he was working hard.
But he was in a serious movie about...
Yes, he was
that was a serious crime movie he was in. And he was great. They should put him in that kind of movie.
Yeah. I would watch a Bad Boys 5 ever, but with Will Smith's son and Martin Lawrence's son-in-law.
I thought Will Smith was kind of the weakest of them. But maybe that's the character they developed 30 years ago and we don't know.
My memory of the first Bad Boys...
Aren't they both supposed to be fun? Will Smith was so serious.
I think they were both supposed to be fun because I think the main thing in the first one is that their identities kind of get switched because Will Smith is trying to impress some girl. I don't think it's this girl.
Oh, for a second there I thought you were going with a Freaky Friday reference that they swap bodies.
No, if only. But I think for whatever reason they're pretending to be each other. I don't remember why. It didn't make a strong impression.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Cars, how did you feel?
Oh, you mean the cars they used?
Yeah.
There's only that one Porsche he drove. Was there anything else?
That RV that Vanessa Hudgens drove.
Okay, that was just a box panel truck.
Okay.
It wasn't that exciting. It's not something I want to go out and look for.
Listen.
Vanessa was...
Vanessa had 6 lines.
Barely slightly above a cameo. Her boyfriend was kind of funny.
Yeah, who knows what they were doing there.
Who was him? Any idea who he is?
He looks like he was in some dumb kids movie that I loved in my youth that I don't know.
Seems like he would be a good rom-com guy.
Get him into the Christmas Prince. No, she's not Christmas Prince. She's
one of the Lifetime
Switch.
movies?
No, she's Princess Switch.
Okay.
You watched them.
Yeah, but those go...
Where she has the twin...
into my eyes and straight out of my brain.
And then the triplet?
Doesn't, no, nothing.
Okay, well that's disappointing. She's great in High School Musical. What
And don't forget about...
Thunderbirds?
No, what's the one with Franco, James Franco?
Well, we don't utter James Franco's
I know,
name.
but the Spring Break. Isn't she in that one?
Yeah, but why are you out here supporting it? What?
Well...
When did you watch Spring Break?
With you and Michelle, I believe.
No.
Well, whatever.
No.
I know I watched it, and...
You've watched weird movies with us, but that was not
that
one
one?
of them.
Okay.
Juno and Jennifer's Body.
I don't remember those.
Exactly. But
Back to the movie.
I got nothing else.
Why
really
they?
to say.
Why? Yeah, it's gonna be tough. We've still got about halfway home. Why did they? They found somebody to fly a plane.
Yeah.
After Will Smith gave a very long, impassioned argument that it's just the six of us or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and we're going to take down the entire narco government police state.
You know.
And then they hire a plane, and this poor guy has to fly the plane.
And then dies.
And then I don't think he died.
I hope not.
He definitely got into an accident when the airplane comes crashing through.
Yeah.
A lot of if you like explosions, no lack of them. Whoever the sound guy was and felt the need to make every gunshot sound like it's a massive explosion. Every gun that Will Smith or Lawrence shot was like boom.
Well, I can only hear out of one ear currently, so it felt fine to me.
You do have an ear problem at the moment, yes.
Correct. Yeah, I don't think if I'm like making my team of 6 for the end of the world, I don't think I'm picking Vanessa Hudgens.
She brought a certain skill.
No, when they're all watching his son-in-law, like take down all those people, she's just standing in the background, breaking down and building a gun over and over and over.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
I was watching it. Says, girl, what are you doing?
That's the only thing you were watching the entire movie was Vanessa Hudgens.
Look, some of us were raised on High School Musical.
Yeah,
and
some of us had to endure it.
It's fine. You lived. You forgot it all.
I did.
And you love Zac Efron, so...
That's true. I did walk away with somebody after
with your
that.
boy. I did like that it was that like the villain's compound was an abandoned Gatorland.
Yes,
I thought
somewhere
that
in
was
Florida.
Fun.
Actually, near to Miami, right?
Well,
because you could see Miami in the distance.
Yes, that was Miami, but then his son, Will Smith's son, was held somewhere in Central Florida. You couldn't just drop them on I-Drive and like seen what happened. Have them fight on I-4. You know, use Florida. Use Florida for fun.
They did. There was water. There were trees.
Also,
it's very Florida-like.
Martin Lawrence getting bit by the gator in that nasty water that is not, like, he has a flesh-eating bacteria. Like, he's not making it. I don't care how unkillable he thinks he is, you can't beat swamp water like that. That's
Nothing.
Florida.
That's Florida. What about the captain? I like him. Do you know him? The actor? I mean, he was kind of big in the 70s and 80s.
I don't think
80s,
I know
I think.
him.
He was, oh my gosh, what was he in? So much for my knowledge.
Big fan.
Big fan.
Big fan.
Oh, he was in the original Matrix movie. He was one of those guys in that movie.
Who's he in the Matrix?
He did. He
That's
also,
the 90s.
That's the 90s, yeah. But in the 80s, I think he did some kind of movie about a lost rock and roll singer. We really have nothing to say about this Bad Boys movie, do we?
You know, one might say it's because we don't have the lore that 3 full movies contributed to.
I don't think you need the lore. This one didn't pull me along. There wasn't much of a story. There's a lot of explosions, a lot of car chases.
And it was pretty obvious
Look,
who was
you never watch any James Bond movies, but you
This
came
is the exact
to one.
argument that you made with Scream. I can't live through this again. I cannot do it. I've seen all of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies. All of them.
But you didn't go back to the beginning.
You don't need to.
At some point, you saw a Daniel Craig Bond movie without seeing Sean Connery or anyone else after that.
Right, but Daniel Craig is starting from zero.
So every movie I see that's a part of a lineage, I have to see the entire lineage?
These are two
Is
different
that what you're
issues.
saying?
These are 2 different issues that you're talking about. You can't just show up to the 4th Bad Boys movie having not seen anything. But that is different than showing up to the new reboot of a character that is established. The 4th Bad Boys movie.
Okay, you saw the first one. Do you think that added to your enjoyment of this movie?
I have seen 150 movies between that and this, so I cannot tell you what happened in that one at all. But I do think that I don't think it's fair to say that there wasn't anything here, having not.
You know what this reminded me of?
4 movies with these characters.
What's the movie we watched, like, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months ago? I think it was a Bruckheimer or a Bay movie with an ambulance.
I'm gonna blow your mind. It's called Ambulance.
It's called Ambulance. That wasn't a series of anything. It's the same movie this was. It just moved from one action sequence to the next.
But they were
without anything else happening. Yes, and that's what this movie was. Just one action sequence to the next. They didn't really have the need to do a lot of character development. I'm going to surprise you.
Oh God.
And say I'm giving this how many alligators? For me, it's going to be 2 to 2.5.
That's not surprising.
Only because it was pretty to look at. I'm gonna go back to 2. I'm staying at 2.
You don't need to add any further qualifiers like you normally do?
No. Maybe if you're a Bad Boys aficionado, you'd enjoy the heck out of it. But that's about it.
I mean, the people in front of us loved it.
They did. Oh, well, since we're talking about the people in the theater, why was there a baby in the theater crying?
I don't think the baby liked it. But
the baby did not like it, you're right.
All
and
right.
You, movie critic?
Like a singular alligator.
Just one.
The Duke alligator.
You're only giving it a 1 alligator.
It didn't. Yeah.
It's that bad.
There were a lot of editing choices that I really didn't like that kind of cut around, and I don't think that it was as polished as some moments were good, but
it was very polished. It just wasn't something you want to polish, as some might say.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, well then I'll leave that for a later time.
Okay, goodbye.
All right, we're home. Goodbye.
That's it for this week's episode of Movies with My Dad. You can find all of our episodes online at movieswithmydad.com. You can also send us an email at movieswithmydadpod@gmail.com. My dad is desperate to hear from you. You can find me, Tina, on Twitter at Captain Ameripug or letterboxed at Tina_DOCX. You can find my dad at our local Home Depot. Tune in next week when we head back to the movies.